Guys, listen, it is right off track. It is Friday. We have some mega important time sensitive stuff to talk about. So, this is FloRacing's very own only drag racing podcast with me, Courtney Enders, right off track. Normally we get to know drivers, we tell their stories, we dive into why the whys, who's the who's, all the things, but we are going to do something completely different today. I have one of my favorite fellow co-hosts of another controversial podcast that we're on Tuesday nights. You may have heard it, Shake, Shake and Bake. But I'm going to waste no more time. We're going to handle business at the end with Castrol Edge and thank them for all the contributions for this. But I am going to waste no more time. We've got some shit to talk about today. Stevie Jackson, where are you at?
Whoop, whoop. We're in the International Motorsports House of Horsepower, Killing Time Racing in Evans, Georgia today. Thank you guys for having me on. It's really good to spend some time with our drag racing family. It's an honor to be on the show. And we got an action-packed week of racing kicking off today and a lot of stuff to talk about. So it's going to be good.
First things first, usually when we're on shows together, I have Cabernet. Today I'm Coffee Courtney instead of Cabernet Courtney.
I'm workout Stevie Jim. After Shake and Bake, I have to do about 5,000 reps to get back in the game. So,
yeah, word. I slept until like 9:30.
This is like Shake and Bake before dark. You know, most places have like the thing after dark, Shake and Bake before dark.
It's like the brunch version of Shake and Bake here on a happy Friday.
Yeah, we're going to turn this thing into the G/PG rated version. Yeah.
No, not for long. We'll give it about 10 minutes before we get to the PG 17-ish. But you had some issues the other night. I've had people text me like really wondering about your well-being. Like, listen, Dorothy, did you die?
So, and I have too, like more people. Are you okay? We had like a Class 5 twister style thunderstorm at our shop. And before anything happened, I could hear, you know, the mics that we use, they pick up background and we will hear it, but the audience won't. I kept hearing something. I thought I was being invaded by a terrorist for a second. And then when I went and looked, like shit's blowing around everywhere. We had a pretty bad thunderstorm hit. It knocked out the power for an hour. I hate it. I screwed the whole show up. I'm very glad that I had you and Erica and Lyle on to carry the torch. It was an hour after you guys concluded before I got power. But I am okay. I made it out. It takes way more than like a Class 5, 90-mile-an-hour thunderstorm to take me out.
I thought that was hilarious because you, not only the whole time, we thought you were going to be like death via flies, and then you were death via tornado.
So my guys we didn't take out my office trash before we went to Epping. When I came in here, I got in 15 minutes before the Shake and Bake show was supposed to start, and it was like, if you ever seen the movie Fly, it was like there was a cloud of them. Now, I think I have things under control. My mama told me to get a bowl of apple cider vinegar, put some tinfoil on it, poke some holes in it. I would say the native fruit fly population is down 75%. So you may see like a little straggler, like you might see me do that, but I think we got it under control. I don't think I got malaria yet.
All right. Well, now that we know Stevie Jackson is alive and well, as we know, it's going to take a lot of shit. We'll be in Bristol
this weekend. Right. It'll take more than a fruit fly, Jurassic Park, tornado invasion to take me out.
Perfect. Well, I had this whole plan. So I've been wanting to bring you on the show. You're a big, FloRacing is a big fan of you, I'll say. Our viewers, they're new into drag racing. We're kind of getting them used to the certain stars of the sport. No matter who you push, what you do, it's funny. The fans will gravitate towards who they want to gravitate towards. And anything Stevie Fast that we post, the crap just lights up, and it's amazing. And so I get it. You're controversial. You speak your mind. You have an immense amount of knowledge about the technical side, the fan base, all of the things. And so I get why they do. But before we get into the breaking news of this week, one of the things that I did want to ask you and get your personal opinion, because, you know, I like to get personal here. Why do you think you're a fan favorite? You speak your mind and you don't care what people think, but people just love you. What is it about Stevie Fast?
If I had to put my finger on it, it would be that people, especially motorsports fans, want real. They don't want polished. Racing is the best. Drag racing is the best sport in the world because of the raw energy and emotion that you get from not only the race cars, but the people that drive them, the guys and girls that drive them. And people are inspired by the struggle that it takes to do what we do. And they want to see us fail. I can't tell you how many times I make mistakes, not even on camera. I have a regrets list about 3 miles long of stupid shit that I have said and done on camera over the last 20 years. And it's amazing to me how it connects to people by not just being perfect and brushing your hair before you get on camera. And
Hey
we're
now.
sponsored racers. Yeah, I just left the gym. You're all dolled up. We're sponsored racers. We have to take care of the money. But if you'll partner yourself with sponsors that understand what product they're selling and the people that are buying it, you also give the people the real deal. And people, I think fans are gravitated towards not just me, but other people, other personalities who don't bullshit them. We shoot it straight. If there's some shenanigans going on, you're going to hear about it. If somebody's dicking me around, you're going to hear about it. And as many people like that, there are equal amount of people that hate me for that. And I mean, the hatred is real, and I embrace that. I love it. We have a thread going on in Pro Mod right now, and it's kind of hot. And the last text that I put in there is rivalry drives the sport. I think that we have drag racing. I think is very strong. I think it's moving forward. I think some of the kumbayaing that is happening is good. Some of it's bad. And I think you're starting to see the formation, especially in pro modified, of some really powerhouse rivalries. And fans love that stuff. It's dramatic on its own. It doesn't have to be scripted. And that's what makes it great.
So with that being said, you led me in perfect because you are my favorite co-host. Last weekend, I'm gonna let you explain this, but I'm just gonna tee this up. Last weekend, the NHRA Pro Mods were racing in Epping. It was a cold, hellacious, rainy weekend. You guys didn't get anything done. Yeah, it was awful. I mean, you guys trucked up there, what seems like South Canada, 9,000 million miles away. Pro Stock was kind of glad we weren't there. Explain a little bit about what happened, the driver substitution situation, and what drama you're talking about going on right now. You got grab your popcorn. This is going to be good. Here we go.
So first of all, before I get going into that, also talking about the last thing we were talking about, I want to thank the Stevie Fast KTR fans are a different breed of folk, and I love them, and I love these guys. I have folks that come to the races and bring me a bag of jelly beans because they know I'm having a bad day, or they bring my favorite bourbon because they know we did good. And I love my fans, and I love spending time with my fans. There's a lot of people that do what we do that need you to buy a ticket to come in the gate, but don't want to spend any time with you. And I'm not like that. I have this one thing I love about the Shake and Bake show and doing stuff like this is I get to spend time with my people. So I want to thank everybody that does that. So segueing into what you just talked about, the drag racing pro mod scene right now is hot. We're having what I believe to be an unprecedented thing that is happening in Bristol this weekend. If you guys didn't see what happened in Epping, I don't know how much TV coverage it gets when we're being rained on, but we had 18 cars show up for 16 spots in Epping. Epping, for most of the NHRA teams, I would say 75% of them is very far. I know it's over 1,000 miles for us to drive. We burn a lot of diesel. We bring in a lot of international teams from different countries. And we all go to Bristol. We sit in the rain for 3 days. We got one qualifying attempt. And the controversy even starts before the rain substitute driver thing. The first thing we have that's controversial has been a long-standing rule with NHRA that I don't agree with, and that is after one round of qualifying is completed, they take all qualifying attempts, no matter if everybody gets a shot at it or not. They do it in the pros, Pro Stock, Top Fuel, all the classes, been doing it for 30 years. It's nothing new. I don't know what the word is more than strongly disagree with it. A lot of strongly disagree with it because we have two guys that got bumped out of the field because the guys that sucked in qualifying, the guys that ran the worst in Q1, got a shot at the racetrack and bumped them out because they suck. They get in the field, and the guys that got bumped out didn't get to make a run because it started raining and they're out of the show. And I know that's a
So
difficult
wait, hang on just
situation.
a second here. I want to just because some of the viewers here aren't necessarily drag racing fans. So what he means
Okay.
by this, guys, is there's sessions of qualifying. So once the first entire round of qualifying is set and everybody's gotten one shot, if two pairs go down the racetrack and it starts raining, those two pairs times stand even if the rest of the field does not get another shot at the racetrack. So I just wanted to clarify that. Keep rolling there, Stevie.
Right. And this is the first time that this has happened to me, or maybe the second time, but I spoke to Ricky Smith this morning. He said that he has went up in sessions, Father Time, and been eighth, qualified eighth, ended up getting bumped out of the field because he didn't get his shot because of this. That's hard. How do you explain that to a sponsor? So, anyways, that leads into the controversy of the two guys who didn't get a shot at the racetrack not being in the show. That leads into the next controversy of how they're going to finish the race. Do you want to know?
So now we go to Bristol. Just to break it down.
All
Now
right.
we go to Bristol to race Bristol, but finish this Epping race. So what's the structure? How's it go?
Okay, so Epping race rains out on Monday. Several teams left. We all did not. We all changed our travel and flights to different countries and sat there in the rain for days and days to run the race. I had no more dry socks. When I'm telling you it rained, I'm telling you there was an arc that come by my pits, and Moses was waving. He's like, "Why are y'all trying to go down the track?"
It's following
So
you around and it flew back to
there
Georgia
is
with you.
black cloud over my head. I was looking on Amazon.com for a hex removal kit this morning, and I'm trying to figure out if I can get it overnighted. So if any of y'all spiritualists or whatever got some hex removal kits, bring some sage to the track. Don't bring me jelly beans. Bring some incense or something so we can get this out of there. Anyways, we rained out the Epping race. So that's all good. We're going to finish the Epping race during qualifying in Bristol. So you're going to get a race within a race. Now, no matter what happens with all the policy and stuff, it is going to be an awesome event. Fans are going to get 2 complete drag races for 1 ticket. So for the fans, it's great. The thing that I don't agree with then is we are allowing substitute drivers. So let me back up since we said some folks don't follow the drag racing. Starting this year, as a group, the Pro Mod community kind of voted that we wanted a substitute driver policy in Pro Mod. And what that means is the majority, over half of our competitors are international competitors that fly into the U.S. COVID taught us a big lesson about when some of those folks can't travel, it really hurts car count. So we all kind of came together as a group and said that we are going to allow a certain amount of times, not at the last couple of races that decide the championship, but a couple of times we're going to allow teams to substitute in a driver. Points go to the team to keep participation up. I support it. Most everybody supports it. I think it's great, and I think our car count is good because of it. But as with every good thing in life, every good little thing that happens, you get a bad apple in there trying to rotten up the whole damn bunch. So now what we have is we have teams substituting drivers for the Epping race that is being contested in Bristol. All right. We got that? So what that means is before in competition in drag racing, the driver that competes in eliminations has to make a run in qualifying, make a run that gets them in the field to compete on race day. So what we have in Bristol, which is now the Epping race, is we have drivers who were not in New Hampshire, were not in Epping, were not anywhere near any race cars, did not make a qualifying run, did not get on the sheet that can win a trophy in Epping. For Epping and Bristol, I am opposed to this. I think that it really opens up the door to some sneaky stuff. And what's worse than that is what we're talking about in our Pro Mod group today. Is there's 2 guys that DNQ'd Epping, that drove to Epping, that got bumped out because of the rain, that cannot race the Epping race in Bristol, even though they're going to be there, because we have sub drivers that are taking their spots and they should be in there. So it's really controversial.
That did not make a pass in Epping.
Did not make a pass in Epping. You can have somebody standing up there with the trophy on Saturday night that was never in New Hampshire. So it's unprecedented. It's a difficult situation. There's no right answer. And I get that. I like the controversy around it. We got some, like, if you guys saw the Everett betting challenge that was going to happen in New Hampshire. It was really exciting. Well, now we have that $10,000 being bet and a whole lot more of real money being bet. We've got some heads up rivalries. We got people threatening to slap the shit out of each other. We have some Street Outlaws drama happening, and the fans are going to win. Q2 is E1, and I cannot wait to watch some of these folks duke it out.
So, explain a little bit about the Pro Mod class is a little bit different than Top Fuel or Funny Car or Pro Stock in a sense of where you guys are, I don't know if it's an officially association, but you are a group and you get to bring ideas, sponsor money, and structure to the NHRA, not necessarily just let them tell you how to be. Is this something that you guys could come together, make an agreement like this driver swap change or this qualifying run order change? Is that something that you feel the NHRA would give the class the voice to be able to change, or are you just in their playground?
So we're very fortunate to have a group of like-minded individuals that kind of, I don't want to say that we run ProMod, but we steer it. Is NHRA sanctioning body. NHRA makes the rules. They have the say. And we understand that. We fund our own class. We sell our own sponsorship. And we have, I would call it a voice in what they do. Whether they listen to it or not is not up to us. We understand it. And we're very fortunate. This is the first season that I feel like we're working with NHRA and not against NHRA.
Yeah.
So they're very open-minded, and I'm very grateful for the communication that we have between our participants and NHRA. I can tell you it's so divided right now in what to do in this situation. I don't think you'd get anywhere even if you had a meeting. But what I will say is this is the first time since I've been racing NHRA Pro Mod that pretty much everybody is rowing the boat in the same direction. We have this time last year, we had 11 cars at these events. Now we have 20 in Bristol in June, and that's really good. Car count is up, performance is up, parity is closer than it's ever been, and I am proud to be part of the Pro Mod community.
I've been a part of the Pro Mod community as well. You guys hired me to come on before COVID to kind of help with some organizational stuff, do some PR stuff, some social media stuff. And I've been fortunate enough to be a fly on the wall at a lot of these meetings. And something I want to dive into with you, especially, is some of these meetings when we had 8, 10, 12 drivers going and deciding, are we going to go to Brainerd? Are we going to actually make that haul up there for basically a half of a field? There's been a chunk of you guys that have been financially, time sense, committed to growing this post-COVID. Forget about COVID because we just got to throw that out the window. But what has it been? Has it been the unification? Has it been the parity fixing that's kind of taken NHRA Pro Mod? Because you asked somebody 2 years ago and they said, nope, NHRA Pro Mod is not the place to race. And I feel that that's not the truth today.
Well, we first of all, let me be first to say we still don't have parity, but we have closer parity than what we've had. One thing that damaged our sport a lot is that all the turbo guys cheated for 10 years. And when they got caught cheating, a lot of them had to quit racing or swap power adder. And then we had a lot of exhibition runs where they were trying to figure it out, running 230 miles an hour. And we lost a lot of participation because of that. When guys and gals feel like they don't have a chance to win, they quit coming. What we have this year is we have a group of folks that see the future of fast door car racing, that understand that the types of personalities and people that we have driving these cars is marketable, and we can sell it, and fans buy a ticket to come watch it. So when we talk about unification, we still all hate each other. We still want to crush each other. We don't go out to dinner together. Some of us wouldn't help each other if they had a flat tire on the side of the road. But what we do see, what we have had this year that we've missed in the past, is the ability to set the racetrack stuff over there and realize that if we don't work together to make rules, policy, present it to NHRA, and help them see how viable our product is, then we can't get to the hating each other and wanting to kill each other. So we all want to kill each other, but we have to work together so that we can get to the track and kill each other. And that's exactly what it is. It's like two boxers that have to sell the fight just so they can get to the ring and beat each other's eyeballs out.
I'm telling y'all, I have seen it absolutely firsthand. I've seen people in these meetings wanting to go to blows and then 5 seconds later agreeing on something and go to the NHRA. And it's not to be cheesy here, but it's kind of been awesome to watch because I've been a fan of Pro Mod, especially on the NHRA side, which now I want to transition into the other realms of Pro Mod in this country because there's so many places that you can race it. But you're one of the few people I feel like that has ridden the ride of all of the ways and places that you can play in Pro Mod in the country. And what I want to talk about right now is the Radial versus the world, if you will. So it was kind of you race one or the other. They've figured out the schedule a little bit where some people can kind of do both. You've got the Jason Harrises and things of the world that can do both, but let's back it up to the beginning and the rise of Radial versus the world. You were a big part of that. What was it about it that captivated the space?
So when I first started racing early in my career, Outlaw 10.5 was the mecca of drag racing. It was all over the South. You had Little Mo and Mike Hill, and you had all these characters, and I'm talking about dozens of me's of talented, outspoken,
God, that's
badass race
terrifying.
car drivers that all decided that we were going to take a car that used to drive down the road and put little bitty tires on it, 3310.5Ws back then, and go put 3,000 horsepower motors in them and go race them. And, you know, people think that the NPK and the Street Outlaws was the beginning of fast steel body car racing. It wasn't. Outlaw 10.5 is where I came into the sport. And I saw these larger than life characters sticking engines in cars that they had no business being and driving all over the track and beating each other. And that is where Radial versus the world was born, even a decade before it happened. Is the same people that like that, the packed out stands, going to Orska and not being able to get even off the interstate back then to see Outlaw 10.5 was the beginning of Radial versus the world. And Radial versus the world is a sensitive subject for me. You'll see me get emotional when you talk about it because I feel like I birthed it. Like I put my soul in it. I risked my life building it. And then I feel like in the same time I killed it. And that's the way some of these niche classes go. But Radial versus the world started out as Outlaw Drag Radial, and it was a offshoot of Limited Street, which was an offshoot of Outlaw 10.5. And that had guys and girls putting big motors in cars. My Outlaw Drag Radial car had power windows and locks, keyless entry, and 3,000 horsepower. I would do the burnout with the windows down and roll the windows up when I backed up because that was badass. And that's where Radial versus the world started. What drew me to it is that it was just, if you think you got a, I don't even know if I can say it on this show. If you think you got a bigger wiener than I do, you got to show me. And that's where RVW started.
Now, so I want to touch on something that you just said because you said you birthed it and you killed it. How'd you kill it?
So in the beginning, as with all things that are great in the world, it starts off as this beautiful flower. And then we figure out that sunshine and rain is good. So what do? We put it in a greenhouse and get a fire hose and blow the leaves off of it. So in the beginning, the rules were wide open. And fans make this misunderstanding that I'm very intelligent and very smart. I just work harder than everybody else. And Billy Stockland told me one time when we first started racing together, he said, you've won a lot because you just will it to happen. You just refuse. You're too dumb to quit. And you just keep beating your head against the wall until the wall moves. And there's a lot of truth to that. When we first got in there weren't a lot of rules. So like, as we all do, we start stretching the rules, bending it. Shane Stack built a double frame rail car first, and everybody's standing around, and that thing had 2 frame rails in it, not one, and they let it in. So the first thing I did was build like a half a Pro Mod Mustang. And then, nobody's telling the truth about power adders and stuff. So it starts to get fast really quick. When I say I killed it, there was a phone call to Donald Long in 2013 that killed it. It didn't even kill it. So we when I say the word kill it, we have to talk about this later, because I really believe RVW is healthy and coming back. But for the short term, we killed it. There was a phone call in 2013 to Donald Long. I was getting beat because I had a car and other people didn't really have cars. I called Donald Long. I was in Texas. And I said, this is the last time that I'm going to do this and race these guys that have better cars than I do. Will you please ban pro modified cars from RVW and make us have a stock firewall and stock body cars? Because if you do not, I'm going to build a race car and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to smash these folks into the ground. Donald Long's words to me, it's RVW, anything goes. I told him,
Oh
I am
boy.
opposed to this. I do not agree with this, but I will not lose. 2 weeks later, I brought a nitrous car, which was unheard of, in a Jerry Bickle 69 chassis, and I smashed the record 4 times at the first event we went to and crushed the record by a 10th. And that was the beginning of really fast door car RVW racing. We went 375 with a nitrous motor, and I think when we went in that event, the record was a 386. So that is one thing that, again, as it always is, that was when the class was exploding. So because there's so much participation, it covers it up for a few years, and you have guys that still keep coming, and then. I told Donald, I said, I'm going to bring a race team out here with race car people and race car motors and run this. And we did. We brought me and Phil Schuler with the Shadow. I purposely built it. It was the first car we purposely built to run RVW. And it's the first car I selected every piece on. And we came out there, we put a screw blower in it with a real engine, one of our KTR motors. And we had Billy Stockland tuning it. And we had a full-time crew of staffed employees working on it, and it showed. We came out there, and I think we won in 2018 and 19, even maybe back 17. I think we won 80% of all the RVW races we went to. And it was bad. We set the record. The problem is, and I know I'm keep talking, I know you probably want to stop me, but the issue the issue when that happens is nobody wants to see the same folks win all the time. It's just not good. If the Braves won every baseball game, people will quit coming to watch baseball. And Braves had a great game last night, by the way. Crushed New York, as they always should. But the rule makers begin to take what we were doing and making it zero. And you have the same thing happening in every sanctioning body now. The fact that it didn't matter the fact that I had a full-time race team when everybody else was doing it on the weekends, and I had the best power you could get, and I had the best blower, and I had the smartest man in the world, Billy Stockland, working on it. That was then zero. So they made rules against our combination to make everyone else competitive with the fact that we brought 4 motors to the track, not 1. We brought a 56-foot trailer and a semi, not a tag trailer. We had $300,000 in payroll to run these things, not weekend buddies. So that became zero. And when you do that, all the hard work and extra that you put in, it really is discouraging. And we'll get into this. I want to talk about Pro Mod a little bit more parity when we get to this. But when you have a rule package and you have effort and hard work should always factor into parity. And Phil Schuler will tell me that that's not true. Parity is based on performance. And I don't believe that. I don't think that Scott Tidwell's roots blown car should show up and outrun Frank Manzo's. I don't think that I should show up with a turbo car and outrun Steve Petty. I think that effort, experience should be taken into parity. And when they take your best run that you ever made and make that the normal, it makes everybody else where they can't compete. And that we saw a big dip after that happened. Since that, there is a lot of sunshine on the wall. Sunshine on the roof.
Now you said that it sometimes takes a couple of years to see it, or certain successes can hide that. And so now I want to get into kind of state of the union of RVW right now. Like I go to these races for Flo. You can see the fans are still into it. Starting lines are still packed. But when it comes to the the racers, the types of cars, the car count, the things that they're having to finagle over there. Where is it at and what caused that?
So car count, it depends on two things. Is it exciting? Do you want to do it? Do you have a chance to win? And how much does it cost? Right. So Radial versus the world is a very expensive class. Everybody that was competing in RVW, because they got tired of me beating them by a tenth, went to Pro 275. Donald created a class for them to get away from me. Okay. Then he took my combination and made it where it cannot win to appease the folks. So when that happens, you lose car count. When you talk about the state of it, I think it's healthy. We are building right now. We're constructing for a customer a brand new RVW car. That hasn't happened in a long time. But what's hard about it, let's talk about what's hard about it, and then let's talk about what's great about it. What's difficult is there's only 4 or 5 races a year, so it's a big financial investment to have one. Really smart, really talented people drive and tune them. So it's really, really hard to win. All right, that's difficult. They are very hard to run when it's hot outside. And what you're seeing now is a shift this year in thinking of let's just quit beating our heads against the wall and not race in the summer. It's very difficult to take a car that's capable of, and these are raw, awesome machines that weigh 2,700 pounds or more, and they're capable of going 890, 60 foot and traveling the 8th mile in 3.4 seconds at 220 miles an hour with no wheelie bars. Like, this is a really fine-tuned, meticulous machine. It's hard to take that car and put it on a 130-degree track and make it go down a racetrack.
Yeah.
So the fans have mixed emotions. I always call them vampires. I say RVW cars are vampires. Only bring them out at night. They'll melt in the sun. They'll die. They'll get sunburned. Fans don't like radial tire racing during the day. Fans love RVW and some of the other fast radial classes at night. So that's what's difficult about it. What's great about it is the awe-inspiring runs, the parity, when parity is good, the competition. We still don't have parity in RVW. You still have to take and this is my fault. You still have to take a screw blower that makes 3,200 horsepower and weigh 50 pounds more than what a Pro Charger gets to weigh. And the Pro Charger makes 3,800. And that's my fault. I don't know when it will ever come back around, but the Pro Chargers have a definitive advantage, and they have since they came in every sanctioning body. We're building a Pro Charger car to go run there because I'm tired of beating my head against the wall. But those types of things, even those power addle rivalries are one thing that make it great for the fans. You got nitrous cars, you got turbo cars, you got roots blower cars, you got screw blown cars, you got Pro Chargers. You have everything under the sun. If somebody could get an NA motor light enough, you'd have NA motors. So that's what's awesome about it. Payouts are good. They have a good place to race. Fans still love it. And I think car count is coming back. You have the same type of, when you talk about camaraderie and communication, that same type of thing that we're doing in HRA Pro Mod, you're seeing in RVW right now. They're having meetings. They're having phone calls in February on what we need to do. They're letting some powers that be are listening to the racers that are spending the money on how to make the show better. And at the end of the day, no matter how you want to cut it, whether we talk about parity or sunlight or rules, nothing trumps fan experience. Nothing. The fans are the boss. The fans buy the tickets. Without the fans, we do not build cars and race them. So they're starting to look at fan experience. And I think if we will lean towards that, the rest of it will all sort itself out.
I think that's something that never went away for them. And being on the FloRacing side, we have the streaming rights to the Duck X races. They always perform great. We mic Duck up and it's just like unreal. So I think
awesome.
that, dude, we've got actually a behind the scenes video that's going to come out right before the next race that I've watched it and I've thought, man, are we really putting this out there? But it's Duck. Like, if you guys have never looked him up, you have got to look him up. He is a personality unseen. He makes Stevie Fast look like a boring person, which is just the most rare thing to do. But where we're at on our end of the business, you say the fan experience, we've got FloRacing out there that want to make people feel that way at home with it. When it comes down to these characters and things like that, why do we need more participation? Why do we need more Stevie Jacksons? And how do we get that, I should say, to bring that to that audience? Because we've got Steve Torrance's slapping Cameron Ferrays at the end. We've got John Force doing John Force things that make that easy to watch. But how do we encourage more people to be like you to help bring these series to light and really create these stars?
First of all, I want to say, and I want to thank Donald Long. Donald Long is a pioneer, and I don't use that word a lot in our sport. Donald Long stuck his neck out to build small tire racing when small tire racing was a joke. And what we have is the Donald Longs giving the Stevie Fasts and the Steve Torrances the the platform to bring the entertainment and connect with the folks. That right there, Donald Long actually was the first one to ever call me Stevie Fast. He still, every time I talk to him, wants 10% of everything we've ever made using his trademark Stevie
Of
Fast
course
logo.
he does.
So what encourages that in our sport is drag racing is an ego driven sport. We get into it because I think I can do it better than you, and I want to show you that I can do it better than you. All we have to do is give the people a platform to be themselves and not be so critical when they screw it up. What I do different than everybody else is I know 100% going into a TV interview that I'm going to make a fool out of myself. I'm going to say something that pisses somebody off. I'm probably going to get my words jumbled up a little bit because I'm talking too fast. And I'm okay with that because nobody is perfect in life. And we need racing is a village. And the fans got to give the drivers and the competitors, give us some grace when we screw it all up. I know sometimes you're going to get the boring sponsor interview. Be patient with that. We have to do it. And the stage to get it in there, showing the relevance of it, is how you get more participants like me, the J.R. Grays of the world, the Manny Bajingas, the Justin Bonds. There is a lot of fired up personalities out there. We just have to encourage it and bring it out. There's one thing that's been happening a whole lot more this year that I like is you're starting to get a little bit behind the scenes look at some of the crew chief drama. And, all these teams have 5 or 6 guys or girls that are great personalities. And I think, we internally do it in our team. I try to make my guys and girls hate the other teams. I want the guy that does their engine over there to suck more than the guy that does my engine. And I think anything that you do to bring up rivalry like that is good.
We need more of that. And whenever you and I talked off camera about the pro stock, the NHRA pro stock call out, it's so funny. I love getting you up on the chip about this because you said it's all manufactured. It is not real. And it doesn't mean that we have to hate each other, but on the other side of that stick, I do feel like we need to create some of these. The NHRA scene needs a push. These drivers need a little help. Erica standing on stage trying to make Dallas Glenn give her $2,500. That's nothing in the sense of these grudge races. And it was like we lit the freaking world on fire making Dallas bet $2,500. It's crazy.
I've always tried to make decisions in what I do with my company and with what I do with my brand. I always ask the same question first: is it good for the sport? There's organizations that I compete against every day that do not follow. They will do whatever it takes to make money, and they're good at making money. I always ask myself, does this decision help the sport? I love drag racing. I've given my life to this sport, and all you have to do is just have someone or a group of people that is a catalyst to bring that. And I've always tried to be a catalyst for that. I've always tried to seek out rivalry and not controversy. I don't want to see anybody, really hating each other. But if you want to beat somebody, don't talk to your people about how bad you want to crush them. Go tell them. In our Pro Mod group thread, we got 2 guys going at it right now. And one of the guys, J.R. Gray, he told him, he said, I don't need to type it on the computer. I'll tell you how I feel when we get to the racetrack. And that's what we got to do. And all you got to do is have a little bit of catalyst and bring some of that passion about. And the manufacturers wins, the organization wins, but most importantly, the fans win.
And I think we're at a day and age too now that even sponsors. Like we've got a lot of corporate stuff on our end on the Erica side. We've got mailing, we've got Gallagher, all this stuff, but things we've been afraid to say and do because of how they react. It's unbelievable. Having Eric on the Shake and Bake show the other night, the best feedback I've ever had of Erica doing any interview because she didn't stick to that normal stuff. We got her to say some funny stuff. And after the show, she's like, "Oh, do you think I shouldn't have this or that or whatever?" I said, "Screw that. Like it works and it helps." And it honestly gave her a little bit of an extra boost of confidence. And so I say, as the person who wants to bring light to this sport, y'all got some shit, bring it FloRacing's way. I will make it happen.
Watch and believe me, I know y'all don't understand how many times I wake up on Wednesday morning after we've done Shake and Bake, and I'm like, God, did I say that on camera?
Same.
That's on the internet. So, like, I know
Forever.
how Erica felt when she woke up Wednesday morning, and I can tell you one more thing about it. We're all human. Fans want to connect with you. You watch how Erica does this weekend in Bristol. I'm going to put my money, I'm going to push my chips out there that little bit of just being yourself in front of the people. People tell you that nobody gives a shit what anybody thinks. I give
They
a
do.
shit less what people think than anybody on the planet. I still care what the fans think of me. If I say something that hurts somebody, like I said that phrase that I called you about and said, I can't believe that I said that on the show. And I was tore up about that for a week because I'm thinking that hurt somebody. You know, like a fan, we care what people think. Erica, knowing that she was herself and fans love it, she's going to drive better this weekend.
Gosh dang, we can't do any worse. We better. Jeez, oh Pete's. So before we do talk about some more shake and bake stuff, because I want to give that a little bit of light and give you a place to kind of show a little bit of frustration, but most positivity. Um, those people who have followed your career loosely may not know where you're at right now in your career. So we have a video. You've had many crashes, and I don't like to be negative or do stuff about this, but when it's a part of your journey and a reason why you are where you are in a certain part of your career, I don't see why we don't bring it more to light and all that. So, not meaning to bring negativity when we bring these crashes, but there was a couple we could pick from. Tell me the ones that you mentioned to me yesterday. There was an Orlando one. There was one in the Shadow, the Charlotte. What are your big hitters?
So the first time I ever we got this was not a big hitter, but the first time I ever hit the wall, I was in the first S10 truck I ever built. I built a S10 pickup truck, okay, because everybody else had Camaros and Mustangs, and I'm a redneck, and I wanted to build a truck. So I built a pickup truck. I put a 540 cubic inch big block on it with 4 stages of nitrous, and it ran 520s on leaf springs and 28-inch tires with roll up windows, and it was street legal. And this was in 2000. This wasn't in 2000. This was in, we'll call it 2000. It was late 90s. I I took it to a racetrack because I heard that there was somebody there that was talking shit about me. We pulled up to the racetrack in Dallas, Georgia, 10 minutes before the track closed on a Sunday afternoon. I parked the truck and trailer outside of the tower, went up in the tower, conned him into giving me the microphone, got the mic, and I said, I'm Stevie Jackson. I'm the baddest grudge racer y'all have ever seen in the Southeast. I don't even care. I want the fastest car y'all got here for $1,000 grudge race off a trailer right now. So there was this like pro mod there. So we show up. He's like, you ain't going to come into my track and talk shit about me. And I'm like, boy, I'm the hottest thing you ever seen. Back then, I'm 20 years old. I'm bulletproof, and I don't give a shit. Way less than what I don't give a shit now. So we go out there, come off the trailer. Car slides around. I hit the wall, and he wins. So that was a good lesson. I was like, well, if you're going to piss in somebody's backyard, make sure you know what you're doing. Barely scraped the truck. First wreck. Traumatized me for life. So then we go on, we get faster, cars get faster. I bought a Mustang and flipped it over in Jackson, grudge racing someone for $500. And it was a very graceful crash, but I was wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt and a helmet, and my head smacked the roll cage when I got out. And I was like, man, maybe I need to get some safety stuff. First big lick I took was Orlando in 2008. I don't know if I've even told this story out loud. I was back then, Fun Forward was like a big deal. Like it was a big deal, big radial tire and big small tire racing deal. I could not sleep. I woke up Friday night in the middle of the night at my old shop in Martinez. And back then, I had a 32-foot stacker trailer and a dually pickup truck. And everybody made fun of me because I would pull this big ass trailer with this little truck. I started calling all my friends trying to get somebody to go racing with me. I couldn't find anybody. So I loaded that thing up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drove to Orlando. There's a buddy of mine that I found that said he would go with me. I picked him up on the way somewhere on the interstate. We went to Orlando. We made the last qualifier the next day, and I got in the show. E2, the car gets loose. I pedal it, and I crash. And when I say I crashed bad. It was a really bad shot. It was dark. No safety stuff then, no Hans device, no neck collar, no none of that. It tore my neck up bad, and I knew it right when it happened. It was one of those deals where I'm hurt. The guy that I beat when I was crashing talked shit to me. So back then, if you didn't pass the scales, the guy got back in. So I had the rollback, load up all the pieces from off of the racetrack onto the rollback, took it to the scale, and pushed all the crashed car, all the body panels, all the parts onto the scale to weigh it so that the run was legal. That way he didn't get to race. Then we loaded all that shit back up and took it over to the trailer. It was a show, man. You talk about haters. And that's not the only time I've done that. Long story short, I had to load all that shit up in the middle of the night by myself and drive back to Georgia. And that was the neck injury that started my neck injury. I remember pulling over on the side of the road and just, I'm not going to make it home, like that type of deal. So we get out of there. We flipped the shadow upside down and crashed it. Wasn't a bad impact, but still tore the neck up. We crashed in Yellow Bullet. That was a big shot. That was about a 15G shot. And then the one that really tore me up was crashing in NHRA Charlotte 2018. That was a 40G impact that knocked me out and smacked my head against the cage pretty good. And that was one of them deals where I went straight. I thought I was going to be hospitalized for a long time. I talked the ambulance into releasing me and then drove myself home to go to the ER at my home because I thought I was going to be in the hospital for a long time. And I wanted to be in the hospital in Augusta so that I could oversee the racing operation and not the ER in Charlotte. So I drove to Augusta, walked into the ER. I said, I've had a car accident. They're like, okay, go sit over there. I was like, no, I've had a car accident. And they said, well, how fast were you traveling? I said, 250 miles an hour. They slammed me on the table, tied me down, shot me full of something that made me go to sleep and rushed me back. And that was the last little pokerooski. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Literally. We've got that one. I didn't want to show the other ones, but I do want to show that. There's no audio on this, so feel free to kind of walk through it. And people who don't know may think that because you didn't go upside down or you didn't whatever, that it wasn't bad. But those impacts of the walls, let's go ahead and see if we can't watch that Charlotte crash here.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so right now, wide also.
Oh yeah, and the thing about four wide is you don't know what the other folks are doing. I got Jose next to me over there, and I want to crush that man like with my soul. So I'm over there. Car goes left. I'm sticking with it. Right here, I'm supposed to quit. I do not. And that first shot, you can't see it, but I'm not here. I don't know any of this is happening. When I hit the wall that first shot, it knocked me out. I didn't know I hit the other wall, and I didn't know I came back and hit this other wall. I get out of the car, and in my brain, I've said this publicly, your brain splices this deal together, and you notice the car is fixing to catch on fire and start burning, and you notice I'm not getting out because I'm still out. When I came to, there's flames, and I'm like, shit, I'm in trouble, and my neck's hurt trying to get out of there. But that first shot, that was a bell ringer. In my mind, still to this day, I can see that crash right now. I go down the racetrack. It gets loose. I come across. I scrub the right wall, and then the car comes to a rest on the right side of the track. I get out of the car, and I'm like, how did I knock the left tire off of it? So that was a big shot right there. I was like, what? Somebody stole my tire. I remember saying that to the guys. I'm like, did Jose hit me? Is he okay? And Jose comes down and checks on me, and that was a bad shot. But what I want to say about stuff like that, when you talk about passion, when you talk about our fan base, when you talk about why people want to watch me race cars, it's because I have always approached racing with there is no tomorrow attitude. There's no another qualifying. This is the last race I'm going to run. This is the last time I'm going down the track. I don't care if it's qualifying or testing. And what people connect with, and I tell this to every person I've ever run a car for. It's one of the first things that I tell them when they hire me. That race car is a tool to get me what I want, and I want to win. And I do not give a shit about it right now. I don't have as much money as these other guys. I don't have 20 motors, and I don't have a program like some of they have. But the way I've done well in racing is because when we go through the water, that son of a bitch has got one of everything right now, and I do too. And I will burn my shit to the ground and kill myself to beat you. And that's what connects with the fans. When Sydney hired me, I told him, I said, I'm gonna tell you just like I told Jim Whiteley, I'm gonna blow up all your motors. I'm gonna tear up everything you ever had. I'm gonna blow through more parts until we're fast than you've ever seen, and we're gonna end up in the winner's circle, and you're gonna love me for it. And that's normally what happens.
That was awesome. I can't wait to clip that and post it as its own little video on a side hustle there. But so after all this happens, we're just going to kind of breeze through this. With what you just said, it's unbelievable to me that you're in the space that you're in, because you are one of the hungriest, most aggressive drivers and competitors that this class has. But get a little bit into where you're at now. You were sidelined. I don't know where you're at in your journey back, but I know that you're back in the fitness realm. You're losing weight. You're getting fit again, getting prepared to get behind there. But right now, you're tuner, Stevie.
Man, it's terrible. So I've been on the track thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So you go through seasons in your life, whether you're racing or tuning, where you just get burnt out. I needed to have neck surgery a long time ago. This was something that affected me not only in the car, but out of the car for years and years. And you do not take care of yourself, because I feel guilty when I get out of the car. I feel like the sport suffers. I feel like the fans suffer. And that's not me tooting my own horn, but the sport needs people that will speak their mind and tell the truth. And we have a lot of not even just in our sport, but there is a lot of warfare that goes against people who tell the truth. If you tell the truth, I promise you, there's a lot of people that think that you're a bad person and a bad guy. In our promo thread, I speak the truth, and I get a lot of haters because you may not want to hear it. But I almost think that the neck surgery gave me an excuse to get out of the car, and I was ready to get out of the car. I was hurting for a long time, for years. I was tired of racing in a field that had no parity, where I had no chance to win, and tired of racing where they took all of the tools that show you how good of a race car driver that you are and automate them and make it where somebody can just show up and kick the shit out of you and they have no business in the car. And that's discouraging for me. Billy has asked me many times to go alcohol funny car racing or go top alcohol dragster racing. Or pro stock racing. He wants to go somewhere where they have all the same stuff. And that way, when he does a good job, he does a good job. And when I do a good job, we win. And I was really frustrated with that towards the end of last year. When I saw my neurosurgeon and he said, you have to do this right now. If you trip and fall, you're going to die. I was like, all right, we're going to get out of the car. We're going to fix this. And to be honest with you, everybody asked me when I was going to get back in. For several months, I didn't give a shit about it. I didn't want to race the car. I was tired of doing it. I was tired of waking up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym and working out so that my neck and traps and shoulders are strong enough to take an impact if somebody hits me. I was tired of working harder than everybody else to be mediocre. And it almost was a relief when I got out of there. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to tune these things for a while. I'm going to make some money. I'll race it later. And tuning, I've said this a lot. I get as much or more enjoyment out of tuning cars than I do driving them. I love running people's race cars. It is a passion of mine that even the first time Phil Schuler gave me the keys to the Shadow when it had a nitrous motor in it and trusted me to make the car fast or not, there's no replacing that feeling. So don't construe what I'm saying. I love tuning cars, but I will tell you that some of the arrogance that we've had the last month in pro mod, I'm ready to get back in a race car because there are people out there stomping around like they're relevant and talented. And I'm going to come out there and I'm going to put a car together and I'm going to get Billy Stockland to tune it. And I'm going to come and I'm going to slap the shit out of these guys. And I'm going to show them the difference between a steering wheel holder and a race car driver. So I am fired up over the last 30 days about coming to get back in the car. Still going to tune them and run them. But I am excited about getting back in a race car again. And it's been eating at me for like a month. And I'm like, I don't need to get back in the car. I called the neurosurgeon yesterday. I was like, I need you to clear me to get in the car. He said, we can't. We got 2 more weeks. I said, clear me today. I said, I want to sub in Bristol. So in 2 weeks, we have a follow-up appointment. If that goes well, they're going to scan me. If I have 100% scan, he's going to file paperwork for me to get my license back. And if that's the case, then you may see me in competition sometime during the end of the year. I'm not actively competing for any championships or anything this year. Don't want to do that, but I am excited going into the fall. Maybe you'll see me in a car.
I think it's so cool to watch, just like I said, the massive hungry competitor kind of dive into where you're at now in this, and all bad things, all things of our journey. I think that they matter, and it's maturing you in a sense of where you know that you want to be. Because when we had this interview, when we did that walk it back session, your answer was different, and I love that because it was very different.
Well, being around people that you are who you surround yourself with. And I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by Sydney Frigo and Arta Venko and the customers that I have right now. When I started running Sydney's car, I asked them right away, I said, do you want to win? And everybody's like, oh yeah, I want to win. I said, no, do you want to win? Do you know what it means to want to win? And he said, absolutely. And being around Sydney for 6 or 7 months, seeing the passion and talent that he has and the investment that he has in the long-term success of our sport, that guy wants to win. And when you start getting 2 or 3 folks around each other that want to win and that want to do it and love our sport, it changes your mindset. You're like, okay, well, I'm thinking way too small here. I want to win. Sydney's a good driver. I am going to get him in the winner's circle this year. I'm going to show everybody how good he really is. And we're going to start doing that in about 24 hours.
I cannot wait. This weekend's going to be awesome to watch. Before we wrap this up, because I know you've got to get to Bristol, I've got to get to Bristol, but I do want to dive into a little bit of shake and bake stuff because self-promotion, whatever. But shake and bake is something that you dreamt up. I know you've been talking about doing it for a long time, but creating a space where you can be yourself, talk about things without a sponsor, without anybody telling you where to be. Why do you think that the time was right now and that the space was available for you to go and do that?
I think that it all ties into the neck surgery. I think you get, in a space where for the first time in your life, you're not a sponsored driver. You go to the grocery store and you're not Stevie Fast getting a gallon of milk anymore. You're just Steve Jackson. And I think it seriously, and you're like, you get over the first couple of months of everybody asking you how you did that weekend when they see you in town, because they kind of figure out you're not racing anymore. And then I woke up one morning and I said, you know what? I don't have a sponsor. All the communists left. They've all packed up and I'm responsible for me. And it all began as a way, there was a big divide between what I can do and say and spending time with my fan base. And sometimes they're the same, but sometimes they're not. I love my fans. I love my people and people that are, when I see folks, if I'm at the racetrack and I see that you have on a KTR or Stevie Fast shirt or something, I will stop and seek you out and tell you thank you and I appreciate it, because those are my people. And Shake and Bake was designed as nothing more than to just spend some time with my fans and bullshit about cars. And I had no idea as many people would watch it as they do. It blows my mind. I had no idea that we would have a short time frame as we've been doing it, how much momentum it would get, I'll be on an international flight and somebody will say Shake and Bake. And I'm like, what are you people talking about? And I'm like, I'm going to Brazil. And and that gets me fired up. But for me, it is literally an avenue to hang out with my buddies and bullshit about cars. And that's the way I approach it. You'll see a lot of stupid stuff on Shake and Bake. You're going to see me hammered on a Tuesday night sometime chasing flies around with a fly swatter. You're going to see me get frustrated when we're not running well. You're going to see the bad sides of me, and you're going to see the good sides of me. And that goes on for yourself, Lyle, and any guests that we have. My goal is always to give people a platform, to give the fans a connection with them. I love when we had Erica on the other night, and that's the first time I've ever seen her. You see it a lot because you're her sister, but the rest of us don't see it. I seen her let her guard down a little bit and give the fans a peek into who Erica is. And I'm telling you, when you do that, you don't only build your brand, you build our sport. And I love shaking and baking. I love the shake and bakers. And as long as it's fruitful, doing well, and people will watch it, we're going to do it.
Listen, I'm with you. I've been working my ass off to make a name for myself and not be Erica's sister somewhere in this space for the last 15 years. And it's shake and bake. I go to the NASCAR race. I hear people from the grandstand, shake and bake. Erica wins. I have people shake and bake. They're not saying drive that bitch back anymore. They're saying shake and bake. And I think it's such a cool community. And if you guys are going to Bristol, you need to be on the lookout. We've got Shake and Bake on the move. Something new we're branching out with this weekend. Got some shirts. Lyle, myself, Stevie, Shake and Bake on the move. If you see us out and about, you better let us know. So appreciate all you guys watching that.
Yeah, if we spot you doing some shakish and bakish things, we may come spend some time with you. You could end up on air. We may do a shot with you.
You could.
You never know what's going to happen, but I love my shake and bakers. We got a lot of, when I say that, I don't want to make it like it's kumbaya. I get a lot of hate mail every time we do one of these shows. I get a bunch of bitches that complain about ads. I get people telling me that I said the wrong thing or didn't do a good job. And I'm sorry if I don't do it the way that you think your entertainment should be, or if me doing it for free is not good enough for you. If that continues to be a problem, please watch something else. There's plenty of podcasts out there where people kumbaya and hold hands and nobody says the F word. Those podcasts are for you. If you like the raw side of me and you want to act like you're having a beer with me on a Friday night at our local pub, come watch Shake and Bake Show.
But on a Tuesday. Awesome. Well, listen, Stevie, I really appreciate you coming on. I know that this is a weird day for both of us, a travel day, but I get to know a Stevie that I want the rest of the world to know, and I pry this shit out of you. And every time we do one of these interviews, you're like, man, you got me to talk about this, or you got me to talk about that. The same thing you just said about my sister is how I feel about you. And I think that love him, hate him, everybody respects you, and you are absolutely necessary in this sport. But before I let you go, something that's different about this show than the Shake and Bake show is I got to pay some bills, because this and every episode of Right Off Track is brought to you by Castrol Edge, 3 times stronger against viscosity breakdown than the leading full synthetic, and gives your engine 10 times better high temperature performance than the industry standard when you need it most. Castrol Edge.
Hey,
better oil for maximum performance.
I might dump some Castrol in my dang hot rod this weekend, and we'll see what viscosity help will have it, because I'm going to have a motor run about 255 mile an hour down there. Thanks, Castrol.
Listen, that's an ad read that just worked.
Right. Thanks all the companies that support not only this, but our industry. We're all a village. We're all invested with you. We all work together. When you write a check, that's standing behind what you believe, and we appreciate you.
Love it. There's going to be a ton of action, y'all. Please. I know it's not going to be live on Flo this weekend. We've got the NMRA race this weekend on Flo, but do not let the NHRA drama slip your fingertips. Check out the websites, check out the Facebooks, check out the shit talking. It's going to be amazing. And Stevie, I'll see you in a couple hours, my friend.
I'll see you. I'm wheels up in about 46 minutes. So I'll be able to see you in a few hours. We'll have some beer. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me.
All right. Thank you so much, FloRacing audience, and we'll see you in 2 weeks back again here with Right Off Track.